Shut up and sit down.
What's going on, guys? This is the MMA Complex. My name is Josh.
And I'm James.
And we're back. It's a COVID, Skype episode, another one. No guests this time. It's just going to be me and James, and then we're just going to go on through hit some of the updates on what's going on in the fight game and talk about last week's fights, this week's fights, which I'm super excited for. But all in all, things are a little COVID here. You know, we got to take precautions and make sure everybody gets exposed. So that's why we're doing this by Skype. All in all, everything's good on your end?
Yeah, man. Hopefully it'll be our last Skype call for a while.
So. Oh man, I watched our last episode, and I just saw some things that I wanted to, because obviously we're building up the new set, so the set needs to, I think it could be beefed up a little bit and some cool things added to it, and I think the next episode with the set is gonna be even better. So it kind of looked a little plain on camera, so it's like. We didn't have all.
It's a brand new set, so eventually we'll get there.
Yeah. But we were talking about the Paige Van Zandt interview with Ariel. So we're just gonna get right into some of the fight talk. What would you make of her interview with Ariel? Some of the things she had to say, especially fighter pay.
I thought it was interesting. I thought that maybe a lot of things she said was a ploy to get more money out of the UFC, or maybe see her worth with the UFC. But at the same time, if I have to make a prediction, I'd see her going to Bellator. Her husband is a prospect at Bellator. Yeah. I think he's 9-0 in Bellator.
Yeah.
I think all finishes. I think maybe. But she has everything to gain in Bellator. She has her husband there, she can kind of travel together and be together.
Yeah.
She has the opportunity to bring sponsors in cage, which is a big factor. She can make more money with Bellator.
Yeah.
I think Bellator sees her as a financially success with her because of her name value, her looks. I think both ends could profit from each other, and then you have the competition wise. I think she has a better chance of becoming champion in Bellator than she does in the UFC. So I think it's more success if she signs with Bellator.
Yeah. Now the only drawback for her is that no other promotion is really going on right now. You know what I mean? So that's the only obstacle when I could see with fighters and negotiating pay, and is that who knows when Bellator is going to start their fights again. And last we heard was July. And doing it on the Paramount studio lot, which I think is a good idea. Why not? You have your studio, as long as as long as you social distance and have a certain people on there only at a time, you can use those sound lots, in those facilities. So, I think so. I think we're seeing a lot of fighter pay negotiations, and now Jon Jones coming out saying that he's gonna hold out on taking any fights and taking a stance for fighter pay and for the lower level guys, and he's using his negotiation, I guess, with the UFC as a way to, I don't know, argue for fighter pay in some way. I don't know. I guess.
I think it makes him look like a hero, and it kind of makes people forget the stuff that he's done.
Yeah, and he talked about that. He's like, but on Jon Jones, we'll get to him right now. But Paige Van Zandt, I think it could be a negotiation ploy. She has a tough fight against Amanda Ribas in her next coming fight. Coming off the arm surgeries. I don't know how many arm surgeries she's had.
3.
This is a tough fight for her. If she loses this one, I could see it being it's going to be tough for her on the negotiation table because she hasn't been very active. And at her level and her fame in the sport and outside of the sport, that she's made more money doing other things than she has fighting. And as a top level athlete, it's a lot of eyeballs are coming on the sport now, especially with being on ESPN, that these fighters and how much they make is being kind of like looked at, and compared to other athletes and other sports, and even some that are not as popular, dude, they make pennies. You know what I mean? And it's like, even though it's big money for us, you know what I mean? Like Jim Miller, I think got 2 something for his last weekend fight. That's a lot of money. You know what I mean? For us, that's life changing money for us. You know what I mean? But for a professional athlete, it's not a lot.
So after they pay everything, they probably left with nothing. I mean, plus considering some of these fighters have mortgage to pay, have families to support. I mean, you see a lot of fighters like that have part-time jobs that still have to work and fight because it's that bad.
Yeah. So I mean, with Paige, she makes a lot of money. She makes a lot of money on Instagram. She's I don't know, and it's kind of sad that she's like basically saying that she's kind of like an Instagram model.
Yeah.
You know, she's Instagram famous, which is kind of sad for being a professional athlete. You know, but
especially when you talk about the UFC. You know, the UFC is the NFL, mixed martial arts. You know, they're the big ones, and to know that you can probably make more money on the
doing something else,
or lower leagues, or like Bellator, or doing something else. It's kind of sad.
Yeah. Now, what people would say to counter that is that she wouldn't be where she's at without the UFC and her success or her fame or the UFC promoting her.
I mean,
and yeah.
It's kind of hard to argue with that point.
It is. And the fact that I know they're not compensating her the way they should be compared to other sports leagues, that's a different story. But yeah, you're right. They're right in that argument that she wouldn't be where she's at without the UFC. You know, if she went to Bellator, she probably wouldn't be making the money she is making. You know what I mean? So she maximized whatever promotion she got from the UFC and made her money outside, which a lot of other fighters really can't do. But she wouldn't probably have been in that position without the UFC.
Right.
Even if she went to Bellator, you know, now if she jumps to Bellator, she probably would be okay. You know what I mean? Because they'll stay with her.
Yeah, but that's a good point to, you know, saying like, let's say Paige started her career at the, you know, Bellator. I think a lot of people wouldn't know who she is, and B, I don't think she'll ever get casted with Dancing with the Stars fighting for Bellator in the beginning.
No, that UFC name attached to your sheer dog type of thing, you know, profile that it means a lot.
Yeah, it means a lot. Just like holding a Bellator belt versus a UFC title.
Yeah. Did you catch the fights last weekend?
I caught some of the fights. I didn't watch the whole card.
Yeah, it was a decent card. I mean,
I found myself like getting distracted during the fights.
Yeah, you know what? I watched starting from Tisha Torres up. She defeated.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. Yeah,
that wasn't a bad fight. No. Bobby Green, Clay Guida. I was in and out on that one, even though that one had a lot of bad blood. Jim Miller, I basically caught the finish. Bella Muhammad versus Lyman Good. That was a kind of good back and forth.
Yeah.
Raquel Pennington, Marino. I mean, it was a dogfight, but it was kind of whatever. I wasn't really. It didn't excite me much.
I completely agree. And it's crazy.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, this is crazy that Clay Guida and Jim Miller are still in the fight game. It's crazy.
I know. They're like, what, 36, 37? At least Jim Miller is. I think Guida is probably like 40, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
They're still looking good, though. I mean, a lot of they're having like resurgence in their careers and still looking like fit, and they really haven't
never like reached that level, you know?
Yeah, they never reached that like championship level. They always got like stopped like at the, you know, around the top 10, 5 and below. Those guys usually stop them from getting up any higher. Yeah, it sucks. What's it called? Josh Hammett versus Shane Burgos. That was probably definitely the fight of the night.
Yeah,
that was such a back and forth war, and I mean, I was glued to my TV on that one
the whole time. Yeah,
that was such a dog fight. I think Shane Burgos actually could have probably won that fight if he would have just been smart. Just fight more on the outside. Obviously, Josh Emmett blew his ACL in the first round. Just kick at the leg.
I think he was trying to like just be too aggressive towards the later rounds.
Yeah, I think Shane Burgos was going to go back and he's going to really kick himself for losing that fight, because with his skill set, And it's easy for us to say afterwards, and if fighting a guy like, we're sitting on the couch while he's fighting Josh Emmett, who's just a bulldog. But, Shane Burgos, I think, was the bigger, talented, like really talented, skilled boxer, great leg kicks, and he could have. I think he could have won that fight if he would have just been a little bit more calculated. But he wasn't. He went head on with Josh Emmett, and they were on a back and forth war and just knocking each other down and blooding each other up, and it was just like. It was a good fight. I really enjoyed that one. That was really good. And then we got a snoozer with Curtis Blaydes and Volkov, and
that was like, oh god,
that was frustrating to watch.
Because Curtis Blaydes he always fights the same, and his fight style is very boring to watch.
Yeah, I think he knows what he's good at. He knows what Volkov was good at, not good at, and just take him down. Just take him down. Fuck it. I mean, I'm just gonna get the win. I don't care how boring it is. And he even started to gas out. And I thought, okay, now Volkov might turn it around because he's, fairly, counter. He's a good striker. And he's a big guy, but no, there was still a wrestling clinic by Curtis Blaydes, and it was just not.
People hate him. The people hate him before. They hate him even more now.
Yeah.
And it's not good heat. It's Xbox heat, where people don't even want to see you fight anymore.
Yeah, and then you have Curtis Blaydes. He was talking about fighter pay the week of. Dana trashes him on the post-fight press conference, saying that, if you're going to be talking all this trash, you better come with a good fight. And he just basically said that wasn't a money-making fight right there for him. So
it was, especially being in the main event slot like that, like he was.
Yeah. So back to Jon Jones real quick. What do you take on his stance and trying to proclaim himself to be this hero?
I think it's fake. I think at the end of the day, he doesn't give a shit about himself. I mean, he doesn't give a shit about anybody but himself. I mean, I don't see him actually caring about these lower level fighters.
Yeah.
I think Jon Jones has been the same Jon Jones since day one. It's all about himself and no one else. Because if that was the case, then why wasn't he doing it years ago when he was a young gun and people were complaining about fighter for him? Why wasn't he saying anything then?
Yeah.
So I think now he knows he fucked up a lot and he knows people dislike him.
Yeah.
I think he's just trying to win over fans.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. I think it's another marketing gimmick. I think he just likes to. He's trying to find some way. Yeah, he's trying to find some way to get some good press and saying that the fighter pay. I'm doing this for fighter pay. You're arguing for millions of dollars. I mean, I don't know if you're, fighter pay wasn't in your first initial responses to Dana. Pay the undercard fighters more. Pay them more.
It was never like that.
No, it was pay me more. And now he's like not getting it, so he's like, I'm just gonna sit out. It sucks. I think I don't know. Will we ever see Jon Jones fight? Will we see him fight this year? Do you think he'll actually hold out for the rest of the year?
I don't see a situation where Jon Jones is fighting 2020.
Yeah, I don't think so either. If heavyweight's the only option,
those like year-end cards are going to be huge. So
yeah. Also, you think he will? You think he will fight?
I think he will fight. I think a scenario with him not fighting, I don't see that happening. I think the UFC would make him happy, not necessarily pay other fighters like fighter pay. I think they'll pay him well for one fight.
Yeah. Masvidal is also saying that he could walk away right now. That he wants to fight, but he's like, I'm set for life. I don't need to fight. I can. I don't know what's going on now. Is it COVID? Do you think it's just COVID bringing out all this? Like everybody's hurting for money, so they want. Or is it like? I don't know. What is it? The new? I think it might be the new pay-per-view model with ESPN, and people are seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds you of when the WWE created their own network, and pay-per-views went out the door, and these wrestlers were getting upset because they relied on those pay-per-view buys to get paid. Well, now the WWE has all their pay-per-views under one umbrella at the network, where you pay a flat fee each month to get pretty much anything they want.
Yeah.
And I think they got frustrated. I think the same thing goes with the UFC with ESPN, where the UFC kind of took away that payroll structure as far as ordering anywhere you want. Well, now you gotta have a paying structure with ESPN Plus, and then pay on
Mm-hmm.
top of that. And I think people are saying, "Well, fuck that. I'd rather either stream it illegally or go somewhere to watch it for free
Yeah, I think so
or
too.
pay a small minimum fee." And
Yeah.
I think the peer review buys are getting lower because of that, and players are making what they were once making.
Yeah. Just a quick, also a quick note before we get to some of the fight picks this week. Nogueira and Shogun are fighting on Fight Island. They're one of the fights scheduled. Alexander Gustafsson is going to be on that one of those cards too. Nogueira's the smaller Nogueira is calling it quits. I'm not sure if Shogun's going to be calling it quits, but the smaller Nogueira is calling it quits. And we were talking about and we were talking about like fighters that are still around. Thoughts on these fighters that are still hanging in there? Jim Miller, Clay Guida, Nogueira, Shogun. That is still scraping by. Is it
I think it's sad because I think they're doing it for one reason, for money.
for money? Yeah.
I mean, I don't see any other reason why they're still fighting.
See, I think this all goes back to fighter pay too. Yeah, I think if they were making the money that they should have been making, it
They
felt
would
like
have been set for life a long time
they would
ago.
have been set for life a long time ago. I think they would have retired a long time ago instead
Yeah,
of still fighting at 40 years old.
yeah, and it's sad because they're still getting punched in the head.
Yeah.
And later on in their life, when they're like 50, early 60s, they're gonna have CTE like a motherfucker.
Yeah, and I think some of the guys would have probably fought anyway, even if they were set,
Yeah.
because they're competitors. But yeah, you go. I look at some of these veterans, and they're like they can't retire. You can't retire on what they're making, or maybe you can, but
Not every fighter.
not every fighter. Not
No.
every fighter. Not set for life. Not passed down money. You know what I mean?
No,
So
no way.
yeah.
Now, before we get to fight picks,
Yeah.
did you hear about the WWE and their outbreak?
Yeah. No, talk about the WWE stuff because I forgot about that. I was going to bring it up. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so I just found this out by listening to The Observer with Dave Meltzer. So I always assumed that since the WWE, because WWE's been in the, they never stopped with their wrestling shows.
Yeah.
They've been continuing since forever already. I think them and the UFC are the only two sporting brands that have been going on. And so this whole time I thought that the WWE were getting tested regularly like the UFC was. And no, they weren't, man. Vince didn't want to do that. Vince didn't want to cough up the money to get tested.
Meltzer reported that they were not testing there. When was the last time they tested? WrestleMania?
Yeah, never. They were never testing.
They were never testing?
This past show, since the outbreak, was the first time they tested.
Ever? Even at WrestleMania?
Yeah. So what they were doing this whole time is putting the temperature checks on their head. That's it. And you would think
and then limiting the amount of people in the room. That's what they're basically social distancing.
But as far as a legit test or an official test, to not only protect themselves but other people, never. And then on top of that, they wouldn't even anybody in the building when required to wear masks. They were okay without wearing masks. Like you didn't have to wear a mask.
Oh, it wasn't mandatory. Wow.
No.
Cheap ass McMahon, man.
Well, Vince is getting all like he's getting like revenue still. I mean not revenue, but he's getting like merch pay.
Yeah.
All the business partners that he has, he's still getting paid. He was still making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But never testing any of his performers. Renee Young, the wife of John Moxley, or AKA Dean Ambrose, the hot blonde chick.
Yeah.
She tested positive. And she was around, she was a backstage interview person.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who who got infected, huh?
Yeah. They're saying at least 2 dozen people got infected.
And Are they going to do anything about it? Is it just bad press for them, basically? Because they're not really regulated by any
commission.
government body, any commission.
They're not considered a sporting brand. They're
They're
sports entertainment.
So as long as they abide by social distancing rules, I guess they can just hold
whatever
their.
they want. But now they're getting heat because they're not they were never testing anybody.
Yeah. Damn.
So,
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
They're so what brought them to test all of a sudden? What was the point of the whole testing?
So Renee Young she was feeling ill, the blonde chick. And because of this whole COVID thing, she decided to get tested. And she tested positive.
Okay.
She let WWE know what was going on. They had to backtrack their steps, and then they had the people that were in contact with her get tested, and
and they
tested positive, like left and right. Now they're in a bundle because now they still have live tapings or whatever they got to tape, but who knows who can still wrestle because they have storylines.
Well, what they can do is they don't have to do in-house testing, or maybe they can hire a physician. Can't they just hire a physician? I don't know how the testing is done, but there's probably free testing somewhere around the facility that they're using. They can go get tested and have the performers do it a week in advance. They'll get it back in a couple of days, and then.
But they're rich. Vince can afford.
Yeah, they can afford it. I'm just saying, but at the very least, you can have your performers make sure they go get tested a week out.
Yeah.
Don't come into any contact with people, and then make sure you have your paperwork that you're COVID free. And if you don't, we're gonna switch you out with somebody other performer that does. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
And so these are the free locations. Go and get your shit done at these free locations. That's one way I guess they could do it.
At the bare minimum, they should have done that. And then the WWE's rival AEW, which Jim Ross commentates for, he was saying, "Oh yeah, like we care about our performers." He said that on their broadcast.
So are they testing?
Jabs at WWE,
But are they testing? AEW?
Yeah. Since day one, they've been testing. Because Jim Ross, I listened to Jim Ross's podcast, Grilling JR, and he always talks about the experience. But I think that since Jon Moxley's her husband, they're gonna kind of they cancel some of the shows because Jon Moxley's their guy.
Yeah.
So
now I've done the test. I did it 2-3 days ago. It's like it's pretty quick. They stick the whole like long ass Q-tip up your nose, and it gets up there, but it's not there for that long. It's like quick, and then they do another one just a little bit towards the back of your mouth, like at the front of your throat, and then that's it. Hurt? No. The one up the nose made my eyes water a little bit real quick because it was they stick it up there, but it's not like a hard jab, and you're not like it's not poking your brain or anything like that, but it's up there. But it's real quick, so it's not that hard of a test to get done. And even though they're not 100% accurate, it's fairly accurate to at least get some tests out of it, and some positive ones, some negative ones, some false positives maybe. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the UFC, WWE, they should have been testing it. It's crazy that this is barely just getting out because they're still doing shows like every week now.
Yeah, Vince is gonna fuck. He's a savage. He's just doing like head testing, and that's it.
It's crazy, man.
Like temperature.
But nobody's died. Nobody's been hospitalized, right? I guess it's the good thing.
Yeah.
They're just kind of got a little bit of a cold. Okay. Yeah. That's good at least. All right, let's get to this card. Yeah, let's get to this card coming up this week. UFC on ESPN 12. It's a free card from Vegas from the Apex Arena. Poirier versus Hooker is the main event. Sorry.
Goddamn.
That's such a good fight. Undercard is decent. Jin Frey and Kay Hansen has been added on to there recently. Philippe Netlins, Luis Pena on the undercard. Juliana Arosa and Sean Woodson kick off the main card. Maurice Green, heavyweight Maurice Green, who actually has been on this show, is fighting Gian Vellante, who I think Gian is obviously going up to heavyweight. I don't know. He's always pretty thick at light heavyweight. I don't know why he's going up, but kind of an undersized light heavyweight. Let's start with there. Maurice Green versus Gian Vellante. Who do you have?
I'm going with my boy Green because he's an MMA complex alumni.
Huh? I think so too. The guy's big. Maurice has proven to be a dog in there. Yeah. Not the the most skilled athlete in the world, but a fairly dangerous guy. High knees. He's a hard worker, talented guy. I'm gonna go with Maurice Green. I think he's probably gonna TKO Gian Vellante. Brendan Allen versus Kyle Dukakis. Not familiar with those guys too much. Mickey Gall versus Mike Perry is your co-main event. A great card, great fight right there. Mickey Gall, Mike Perry. That's an interesting one.
I like Perry in this fight.
I like Perry too.
Yeah.
I think it's surprising that he's fighting Mike Perry or Mickey Gall. Sorry. I still see Mickey Gall as a lower level guy, but Mickey Gall comes out every now and then with these
surprising victories.
Yeah, with these surprising victories, but also he gets these big names from time to time. I think the UFC still wants to throw him a bone, But Mike Perry, I feel bad for Mike Perry. I think he's above Mickey Gall. He's not the most talented guy when he's fighting in the top 5, but I mean he's a dog. He makes it hard for them to take him out. I'm going with Mike Perry. I say he's gonna probably unanimous decision.
Yeah.
Against Mickey Gall.
Yeah.
Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker is your main event.
It's a hell of a fight, man.
It's a hell of a fight. Oh man, that's such a good fight right there. I can't wait for this one.
I've been going back and forth. I mean, Hooker's been looking really good, especially his last fight. He looked great.
Yeah.
But I just can't count out Dustin Poirier, man. He's a dog.
He looked great against who did Poirier fight last?
I don't.
Oh no, he fought Holloway and then Khabib. I mean, you can't take anything away from him over Khabib. Khabib just wrestled his ass for 5 rounds, so it is what it is. But I guess his performance against Max Holloway, if Poirier does that against Dan Hooker, I could see Poirier taking this one.
My pick's Poirier.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Poirier too. The reason being too is that Dan Hooker gets hit, and not that Poirier doesn't, but Poirier hits hard, and
he's technical too.
Yeah, technical, and I can see him pouncing on Dan Hooker and taking him out of there.
The experience too. The experience of fighting not only the champion but top contenders.
Top contenders, yeah. Dan Hooker is still making his way up towards those top contenders, and this is probably his biggest name so far. I'm gonna go Poirier too. I say he edges this one out.
Yeah.
All right, that's our fight picks for the week. That's our show. It's a short one today, so we'll do a 30-minute one and then get in and out. Next week we'll come back stronger and have a guest.
Full length
episode and a brand new decorated set and a guest for you guys. So until then, catch you guys all next week.
Enjoy the fights, guys.
Enjoy the fights. Like, comment, subscribe. At the MMA Complex, everywhere podcasts can be found. So, all right, man. Talk to you later.
All right, dude.
See you all next week.
Be safe. Let me know.